So in continuation with previous class, we are at the end of Sale of Goods Act. Few more topics only left out in Sale of Goods Act. We will discuss that. So up to point number F we covered. So we have to further discuss about important terms used in auction. Important terms used in auction. I hope my voice is audible and you have the material with you so that we can directly proceed with the topic. So shall we proceed further? My voice is audible to all of you and you have the material with you. Okay. So important terms used in auction. The following are some of the important terms used in auction sale. So yesterday we discussed about auction. What is auction? Who will do auction? For what purpose it will be done? All those things we discussed in previous class. This is in the continuation of previous class. Some of the terms they used. Knockout agreement. Knockout agreement. What is this knockout agreement? It is an agreement between two parties. But what is the purpose of this agreement? We'll just go through. It is a sort of tacit understanding agreement among the intending bidders to stifle competition by not bidding against each other in an auction sale. Such agreements are called illegal. Such agreements are illegal, and the seller can protect his interest against such agreement by reserving his right to bid at the auction or by fixing a reserve price. So full stop. What they are saying, again I am reading, it is a sort of tacit understanding or agreement among the intending bidders to stifle competition by not bidding against each other in an auction sale. Full stop. Such agreements are illegal, and the seller can protect his interest against such agreement by reserving his right to bid at the auction or by fixing a reserve price. So what they are trying to say, in auction, everybody will say some amount. Say for example, X is saying 100 crores, Y is saying 105 crores, Z is saying 110 crores. Auction price they are just offering. A is saying 110 crores, B is saying 115 crores, C is saying 120 crores, D is saying 125 crores, like that. Lot of people will be there, will be participating in auction normally. Sometimes what will happen in bidding process, the person, the bidders who is participating, they will have some understanding. I will not bid against you. You should not bid against me. They will be in both. They both are come. They are both. They are in both. What you can say? They have some common understanding. The understanding is nothing but X will not bid against Y and Y will not bid against X. So that is called knockout agreement. For example, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, lot of person will be present in the bidding, but A and B, there will be some silent agreement between themselves. I will not bid against you and you should not bid against me. Like that. That is called knockout agreement. Okay. Then next one is damping. Damping is an act to dissuade the intending buyer from bidding or from raising the price by pointing out defects in the goods or by doing some other acts which prevent persons from forming a fair estimate of the price of the goods. So damping is illegal and the auctioneer can withdraw the goods from auction. So damping is like, there will be a lot of bidders present in the bidding activity. Due to some reason that a particular person, I am not able to make him bid. He will not bid further because there will be some defects in the product or defects in the asset which is coming for bidding. So we have to their bidding process is prevented. Okay, and that bidder is not able to form the opinion on the price. That is called damping. Okay. So puffer is a person who is employed by the seller to raise the price by fictitious bids. It is like pretending bidding only. I will appoint a bidder. That auctioneer itself will appoint some persons. Okay, or else owner of that asset, no, he will appoint some his own fellows. Just raise the price, na. Just tell 150 crore. Just one other person will you tell me you tell 200 crores. Another person you tell 250 crore. They are like fake buyers. They are not an actual buyers. To inflate the price, simply they will tell one amount, and what will happen? The original buyer will get persuaded. Will get persuaded, and what he will do? Okay, this property is having more worth. He will assume, and he will suddenly will announce highest bidding amount, 300 crore. Then the amount will go to that highest bid. That property has to be purchased by that highest bidder only. Even you saw in Tamil movies and all, this type of things and all will come. For the sake of participating in bid, someone will offer higher amount. After that, one another person is persuaded and he will offer more amount, highest amount, so that the other person cannot buy. So that is called puffers. Then pretended bidding. A bid once made can be withdrawn before the fall of hammer, even if expressly prohibited. The seller can bid at an auction sale if the bidders are informed of the fact. Pretended bidding. If the seller makes use of the pretended bidding to raise the price, sale is voidable at the option of the buyer. Bid is said to be pretended when it is made by seller or someone on his behalf. Similar to puffer. Here also what? Pretended bidding. Someone is participating. A lot of people are participating. They are pretending like bidding. They will offer higher price, but actually they are not buyers. They are just helping the sellers to increase the price. To increase the price of the property, they are just helping the seller. That is called pretended bidding. Okay. Once more, damping. Damping is an act to dissuade the intending buyer from bidding or from raising the price by pointing out defects in the goods or doing some other acts which prevent persons from forming a fair estimate of the price of the goods. That's what I went for an auction to buy something. I'm bidding, but there are people who is sitting there and they are passing some comments. This property is not what this property is having a lot of defects. So then I will get confused whether I should buy or not, what amount I should offer, what amount I should bid, whether this is worth or not. Like that, I will start thinking myself, because there is a damping going on that bidding. Lot of people is giving misinformation about the product. They are telling a lot of defective about the product, so I'm not able to buy that product. I don't know how to judge the exact value of the property, because damping is going on. Okay, like that. If there will be a lot of in many cases it will happen. Okay, to make unsuccessful, the bidding should be unsuccessful, so they will do this damping and all so that no one will purchase the property. So with this, Sale of Goods Act is over. I think I covered the maximum portion, maximum what is there in the material. More than 90-95% we covered during our discussion. So it's an 1 mark pattern. So we have to go through 100% properly. We have to go through the material 100%. Even section number also we have to remember. That's why they are giving section number. See here, section 50, 54, all these things. So section number is also important for this topic. Okay. So I'll go through a little bit 1 mark, then we will move to the next topic. A sale of, you have to answer me. Okay, when I'm reading the 1 mark, you try to answer me. The Sale of Goods Act is applicable to only Tamil Nadu or only South India, or whether it is applicable to which place? As per you, just share your views. The Sale of Goods Act is applicable to which place? Share your views. Not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. Now it will be applicable, definitely. Article 370 and all removed, na? India except Jammu and Kashmir. India except Jammu and Kashmir. Whole India it is applicable. Whole India it is applicable presently. But we will see what is mentioned in the material. Sale of Goods Act. See, it is applicable to whole India. Not it is applicable also to Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. So act is clear. The term delivery, under the Sale of Goods Act 1930 has been defined under section. Remember certain sections. Please remember certain sections. Delivery under Sale of Goods Act has been defined under section what? Any guess which section it is applicable? It says section 2 subsection 2. Section 2 subsection 2. Okay. Delivery means what? Transferring the goods, or just transferring the goods possession. Delivery within the meaning of section 2 subsection 1 of the Sale of Goods Act can be what? Delivery means what? Delivery means actually, that's what they have to ask like this. How many types of delivery? They have to ask like this better. How many types of delivery we studied? Actual delivery, then symbolic delivery, and also constructive delivery. 3 types of delivery we discussed in previous class. So actual delivery, symbolic delivery, constructive delivery. That's what you have to write here. Then the documents of title to goods in the Sale of Goods Act have been described under which section? Under which section it is discussed? Section 2 subsection 4. Section 2 subsection 4 it is discussed. Section 2 subsection 4 it is discussed. Okay. The term price has been defined in section which section? Section number. Section 2 subsection 10. Remember all this 1 mark. Definitely you will get it for examination. Remember. Increase your memory power. Your memory power is required to remember this section number and all. Section 2 subsection 10. I think so. Price is defined under section 2 subsection 10. Okay. Point number 6. Term goods has been defined under which section? Goods has been defined under which section? Section 2 subsection 7 is the institute answer. It's section 2 subsection 6. We will see which section is correct. Section 2 subsection 6 is future good. Then section 2 subsection 7 only correct. Section 2 subsection 6 is future good. They are asking about goods only, na? Then 2/7. Section 2 subsection 7 should come, not 6. Future goods only, section 2 subsection 7. The term auctionable claim is defined in actionable claim. Sale of Goods Act only it is defined. Actionable claim is there? No. My voice is breaking. It's breaking or okay? Proper only, okay. Okay. So what we are discussing, term actionable claim is defined in Transfer of Property Act. Sorry, Transfer of Property Act 1882. It will be here. Transfer of Property Act, not Sale of Goods Act. But we studied here also somewhere. Actionable claim, where we discussed. Where we discussed Transfer of Property Act. Where it is available. Actionable claim. Actionable claim we discussed where? Any idea? Very difficult to get inside the book. So it is Transfer of Property Act. Okay. So what next? Specific goods become ascertained goods dash formation of contract of sales. Specific goods becomes ascertained goods dash formation of subsequent to formation of contract of sales. Subsequent to formation of contract of sales. Correct only. After contract only we can identify the specific goods. Under section dash, it is the duty of the seller to deliver the goods and of the buyer to accept to pay for them. Which section number? Very tricky question. Section 31. Under section 31, remember, increase your memory power. Here memory power is required. Under section 31, it is the duty of seller to deliver the goods and buyer to accept and pay for them. In case of sale, if the seller is declared insolvent, the buyer is entitled to recover the goods from legal heir of the seller. Correct na? Legal heir of the seller, correct? Assignee, what they used is assignee, official receiver or assignee. Instead of legal heir, they used the word official receiver or assignee. Okay. Official receiver is legal heir only. Legally, who is, unless that the seller appointed some person, otherwise it will goes to legal heir. Unless seller is appointed some person as an official receiver. 12th point, condition refers to the those stipulation which are dashed to the very nature of contract. Essential. Conditions refers to the stipulation which are essential or what? I think 11th point, 11th question we didn't discuss. 11th point is what actually? Sale of Goods Act 1930 was part of the what act? It was part of the Indian Contract Act before. Thereafter only they created separate act called Sale of Goods Act. Initially it was part of the Indian Contract Act. Thereafter they created separate act from Indian Contract Act. They deleted the pages of Indian Contract Act. They made it separate act, Sale of Goods Act. Okay. Point number 12, condition refers to those stipulation which are what? Which are what? Essential, correct. Which are essential to the very nature of the contract. Which are essential to the very nature of the contract. Sale of Goods Act is applicable to movable goods other than actionable claims. Sale of Goods Act, which is applicable to movable goods, but that does not applicable to actionable claim and money. So actionable claim, promissory note is not covered under Sale of Goods Act. That's what they are saying. Okay. So I am reading the next question, point number 14. Contract of Sale of Goods Act is a contract whereby the seller transfer or agrees to transfer the property in goods to the buyer for what he is transferring. When I am transferring the property to buyer, what I will expect? What I will expect from buyer? I am a seller, I am selling the product to buyer. What I will expect from buyer? Tell me. I am asking a question to you. Money. Price. Money I will expect. Price I will expect. Price is the answer. Twelfth question, there was other question in our book, sir. What do you mean by that? I'm not able to understand. Come to the next 15th point. Only dash goods are subject matter of Sale of Goods Act. Movable goods. Immovable goods not allowed. Only movable goods. Correct or not? Correct. That's how we studied now. Point number 16. Property means general property in goods and not merely dash in goods. Physical. Property means general property in goods and not merely special property in goods. General property, special property. Yes. It's a general property in goods, not a special property in goods. 25th question is not in our book. Here we have only 24 question. Where is 25th question? Okay. I'm reading next. 7 goods and upon at the time of making contract of sale are called ascertained goods. Goods identified and agreed upon at the time of making contract of sale are called dash goods. Ascertained or specific goods? Specific goods. Specific. Okay. Goods not identified and agreed upon at the time of making contract of sale are called what goods? Unascertained goods or general goods? Yes. Generic or unascertained. That is the correct answer. I'm not able to identify the goods when I'm selling it. It's a common thing. I want mangoes, but I'm not specifically mentioning what type of mango I want. Whether I want Malgova or whether I want any other category of mango. I want mangoes. That's it. Point number 19. Goods which are to be manufactured, produced, or acquired by the seller after making the contract of sale are called dash goods. Future goods are to be manufactured, to be produced in future only, not present. That means future goods will be the answer. Yes, future goods is the answer. In case of dash goods, the acquisition is contingency upon a contingency which may or may not happen. Contingency goods are, in case of unascertained goods or contingent goods, their acquisition is contingent upon a contingency which may or may not happen. Contingent goods are, yes, contingent goods may or may not be produced. We don't know what will happen in future. Contract of sales creates right in, contract of sale creates right in product or right in REM. REM I already, person. Contract of sale creates right in rem means imperson. Agreement to sale creates right in personam. Personam. Okay, all these things you please create your memory power and remember it. I'm trying to teach everything meaningfully, but section number and everything you try to what you can say, you have to mug up the numbers. Section 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Memory power is required. I'll go to choose the answer now. Choose the correct answer. Choose the correct answer. The code governing sale of goods was earlier contained in which act? Just now we studied. Now it is Sale of Goods Act. Previously, what is the act? A. A is the answer. Indian Contract Act. What about others? Just now we studied, na? Try to participate. Try to participate. Try to participate. Try to participate. A. Indian Contract Act. Correct. That is the correct answer. Point number 2. The Sale of Goods Act 1930 governs the transfer of property in what property? Movable property or immovable property? Sale of Goods Act is applicable only to movable property, not to immovable property. So it is movable property. Answer is A. Goods means what? Every kind of movable property other than actionable claims and money. Some kind of immovable property, every kind of movable, including actionable claims and money. I think answer A is correct. Goods does not include actionable claims and money. Okay. Point number 4. Which one of the following does not connote goods as defined in Sale of Goods Act? Money is not good. I think animal is also a goods because selling is happening now. Debt is not a good. It is an actionable claim. It is coming under debt instrument. Debt is not a good. So animal is good only because selling and buying animal is happening nowadays. So I think A and C is the correct answer. I think A and C is the correct answer. That is D. Point number D. 4D. Okay. So what else? Which of the following is not included in the meaning of goods as defined in the Sale of Goods Act? What is not included in the goods? Stock and share is a good only. Actionable claims is not a good. Legal tender money, actionable claims. Stock and share is a goods only. Actionable claim is not good. Legal tender money, it's similar to actionable claims. So both B and C is not a goods. So D is the correct answer. A valid contract of sale includes and includes what? Or does not include an agreement to sale? Includes an agreement to sale, does not includes an agreement to sale, includes contract of work and labor. I think valid contract of sale includes agreement to sale, definitely. Whether it is does not include the agreement to sale. It includes an agreement to sale also. Includes hire purchase contract. Hire purchase contract is little bit different. There it is not happening. It is an installment based sale. Includes contract of work and labor. That is not related to product. That is like service as well as product. 7th, an agreement to sell is an agreement to sell is a future activity or present activity? Agreement to sell is a future activity or present activity? Tell me, future or present? Agreement to sell means whether I'm going to make a sale today itself or in future only I'm going to make a sale. Future. What about others? Future. That means it is executory, going to execute in future. It is not executed contract. contract. It is executory contract. So answer is A. Answer is A or B? A only. Not executed. Executed means sale is already happened, transferred. Seller transfer the goods to buyer. Executory. In future only it is going to happen. Sale is going to happen. But presently we are putting in just an agreement for future sale. Goods as defined in Sale of Goods Act will include voice breaking, goods as defined in Sale of Goods Act will include coins, goodwill, money. It's not included. Coins, goodwill, money is not included. Money is not included na in goods. Crops included. Crops included. Copyright is included. Sale as copyright is applicable. Goodwill, copyright, patent, and foreign currency. Point number this thing is both B and C. B only. Even copyright is copyright also you can sell. Copyright is you can sell the goodwill. You can sell the patent. You can sell foreign currency is also a goods, but our own currency is not a goods. So what is the answer? B they mentioned. So which one is goods? Only growing crops. Growing crops is goods. In my opinion, D is also correct answer. Copyright, patent is also you can make a sale, but foreign currency is there. That is why I think they selected B only. Foreign currency is not a goods na. It's a debatable one actually. But as per the institute material, it is B. So future goods. What is this future goods? But copyright, patent and all will be coming under maybe intangible property. It's not coming under like an simply movable property. It's an intangible property. It may not be. That is the reason it is not covered here. We will see. Next question. Future goods. Future goods can be the subject matter of sale. Cannot be the subject matter of sale. Sometimes maybe the subject matter of sale. Depends on circumstances. Future goods can be the subject matter of sale. What I am going to sell? Apartment I am going to sell. Whether it is constructed today, not constructed. Whether it will be constructed in future, yes. It is an executory contract. Then what is the subject matter of sale? Apartment is the subject matter of sale. Okay. The Sale of Goods Act 1930 extends to the whole of India. Whole of India is the correct answer. But what answer they mentioned? Yes, they also mentioned whole of India only. Sale of goods came into force on which date? September, January, December, or July? I think July or September. I'm not sure about that. July or September? First day of September or first day of July? It's July only na. First day of July mentioned. We will see here. See, I am remembering. First date of July. First day of July 1930. Okay. First day of July is the correct answer. Conditions or stipulation. Yes, conditions or stipulation, essential or collateral. Condition is a primary thing. Warranty is a collateral thing. I already explained. Warranty is a substitute one. Condition is a primary core thing. So it is essential to the main purpose of the contract. Correct or not? Yes, it is an essential to the main purpose of the contract. A warranty is a stipulation collateral to the main purpose of the contract. 13. Question number 13 can answer another. Collateral to the main purpose of the contract. Okay, collateral. It's not a primary one. Substitute one or a supplementary one. A warranty is a stipulation. That's what we studied now. 14th one. Whether stipulation is a condition or warranty depends on the construction of the contract. Depends on the construction of the contract. How you write the contract. How you write the contract. That one only will be helpful. That one only will be helpful. 14 ka answer A. Construction. How you write the contract. Not about the rest of the things. Then what about next question? Where a contract of sale is subject to any condition to be fulfilled by the seller and the seller commits a breach of that condition. What happened? There is a contract of sale. There is a condition should be fulfilled by the seller and the seller is seller is breached the condition. The buyer has to compulsory treat the breach of condition a breach of warranty only. The buyer may voluntarily waive the condition. The buyer may do nothing. The buyer may contact another seller. Where a contract is subject to any condition to be fulfilled by the seller and the seller commits a breach of that condition means buyer has to compulsorily treat the breach of condition as a breach of warranty only. Buyer may voluntarily waive the condition. Buyer may do nothing. Buyer may contact another seller. But why this buyer may cancel the contract or buyer may that point is not there. Buyer may contact another seller. That's what they are indirectly saying. Why they are buyer may contact another seller or buyer may voluntarily waive the condition. Why should I waive the condition? I can waive the contract. Why I have to waive the condition? Because no other option is available. Perfect option is available. He cannot. He have to do something. He can cancel the contract or he can adjust with the seller. Two things only will happen. So cancel the contract is not available. So voluntarily is accepting the okay, the condition not satisfied. Okay, I am ready to accept your product till. That is what happened. Then in a sale by sample and description, there is an implied condition. In a sale by sample and description, I am selling a product. Before that, I gave some sample of that product as well as description also is there. Both should match. Sample quality of that product as well as description. What I wanted only I am receiving. That the bulk of the goods should correspond with the sample. Definitely. First is the correct answer. That the bulk of the goods should correspond with the sample as well as description. Second is the correct answer. Not first. 16B. That the bulk of the goods must correspond with both description as well as sample thereof. 16B is the correct answer. The doctrine of caveat emptor. Buyer, let the buyer beware. Let the buyer beware is not applicable to whom? In case of sale under a parent name, in case of sale under a trade name, whether seller is guilty of fraud, where the seller is guilty of fraud, where the buyer relies on the skill and judgment of the seller. Doctrine of caveat emptor is not applicable when the seller is guilty of fraud. If you are the seller is fraud then definitely caveat emptor is not applicable. Buyer can sue the seller. because seller sold the product fraudulently, then you cannot claim under the doctrine of caveat emptor. Caveat emptor means buyer responsibility. Buying the product is buyer responsibility. If anything is happened, seller is not responsible. That is the meaning of caveat emptor. But the buyer is buying from seller, but the seller did some fraudulent activity and sold the goods na, then the buyer can sue the seller. That is why when the seller is guilty of fraud. Merchantable quality of goods means, merchantable means why I am purchasing the pen for writing. I purchased a pen, but I am not able to write, then there is no merchantability. Okay, that's what they are saying here, that the goods are commercially saleable, they are fit for the purpose which they are generally used. I think both A and B, both A and B will be the correct answer. What is the answer for 18? As per you, what is the answer for 18? Both A and B. All of you present over there, whether are you going through the discussion, are you listening the discussion? Option C. Good. So property in the goods, in the sale of goods act means, property in the goods in the sale of goods act means ownership of the goods or possession of the goods. A or B, out of A or B, any one answer. Ownership of the goods is the correct answer. Property in the goods means ownership of the goods. Possession, maybe anyone can have the possession, but who is the owner? That is the matter. That is called property in the goods transferred from A to B. Property in the goods transferred from seller to buyer means ownership is transferred to from seller to buyer. That is the meaning. It is necessary to determine the precise moment of time at which the ownership of goods passes from the seller to buyer, because risk passes with the property. Action can taken only by owner. Suit for the price by the seller does not lie unless the property has passed to the buyer. Maybe all of the above. All of the above will be the correct answer, because all are suitable answers. Risk should be transferred. Action can be taken by only by the owner. Yes, because buyer or seller, who is the owner only, they can take action. Seller can sue the buyer unless if it is not transferred, the property is not transferred to buyer, seller cannot sue the buyer. In case of appropriation of goods, which are the essential requirement? Appropriation of goods means what? Goods should be conformed with the description quality stated in the contract. Goods must be in a deliverable state. Appropriation must be the seller with the assent of the buyer. All of the above will be the correct answer. 21D, all of the above. All the things are acceptable in nature. All of the above. So like this, we have to go through. So I think around 20 plus choose the correct answer I covered. Rest of the things you go through yourself. And I will come to true or false now. Okay. I'll come to true or false. So true or false. Just go through first question. Breach of condition gives the aggrieved party right to repudiate the contract. What happened? I didn't follow the condition. Buyer or seller, whoever they didn't follow the condition, primary thing, main thing. Then they can cancel the contract or they cannot cancel the contract. They are saying they can cancel the contract. In my opinion, tell me whether it is true or not. Repudiate means cancel. Repudiate means cancel. Whether they can repudiate the contract or not. Cancel the contract. True. Cancel the contract. True. What about others? True. Okay. Warranty is a stipulation. Warranty is a stipulation. Warranty is a stipulation essential to the main purpose of the contract, the breach of which gives right to claim damages but not to repudiate the contract. True only, na? Why false? I think it is true. Warranty, violated warranty means you can claim only damage. Warranty is supplementary thing. Only condition is the main thing. Condition, if you violate the condition, then you can cancel the contract. But if you violated the warranty, you can claim damage, replacement of spare parts. It's a collateral. So, true. Conditions and warranty can be implied or expressed. Yes. It may be implied or expressed. If you write in paper, then it is expressed. But it is already known by common sense, then it is implied. Point 4. Condition as to title, comma, condition as to description, condition as in a sale by example, condition as to wholesomeness, condition as to mercantility extra or express condition. Yes, that's what we studied now. True. Okay. Fourth one is what? Express or implied. Why it is false? Second point, it is books is false. Warranty is stipulation to the main purpose of the breach of which gives right to claim damages but not to repudiate the contract. But it is true only now. We will see here. See material. Come to material. Warranty. See. What they are saying here. A warranty is a stipulation correlated to the main purpose of the contract, the breach of which gives rise to claim for damages, but not a right to reject the goods and treat the contract as repudiated. True only, no. I think in short answer is wrong. It's true. That's what they mentioned here. What they are mentioning here. Point number stipulation essential to the main collateral. Oh, that is the point. That is why it is stipulation essential to the main purpose of the contract. That is why it is false. Understood. Here they should mention the word collateral, not essential. That is why it is false. But my understanding is totally different. I am not bothered about this essential word or collateral word. I bothered about they can claim damages but not repudiated the contract. But here essential, they made it importance. They gave more importance for that essential word. But here, instead of essential, they have to put their collateral to the main purpose of the contract. That is why it is false. And again, fourth point, condition as to title, condition as to expression, condition description, condition is sale by sample, condition as to wholesomeness, condition as to mercantility or express condition. It is not express condition, it is implied condition. It is not expressed condition, it is implied, already known, common sense. So 4 is also false. 4 is also false. Express means written in the document. Implied means it need not be written in the document. It is already known. We all know there is a condition. Okay. Point number 5. Quiet position. Freedom from encumbrance. Disclosing dangerous nature of goods or implied condition. It is like it will come under warranty only, na? Implied condition or implied warranty. I think we studied in implied warranty only, na? we studied under implied warranty, not implied conditions. I remember. I think it is false. See here, implied warranty. Where is that implied warranty? Implied warranty only we studied. Warranty of quiet possession, freedom in person, fitness, dangerous goods. So which means it is false. It is not coming under implied condition. It is coming under implied warranty. Understood? 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 So then caveat emptor means buyer beware. Correct. Let the buyer beware. Buyer beware is also acceptable answer. 6. True only. Let the buyer beware. Let the buyer beware. Then what? 7. Under caveat emptor, buyer is expected to take utmost care and diligence while purchasing goods, and the seller is not bound to disclose the defects in the goods. This is also kind of true. Buyer has to take care. Seller may tell lot of advertisement, lot of window dressing he will do, but buyer will be very caution. He should have to maintain very caution. True only. Risk is associated with the possession of goods. No, in my opinion, it is false. Risk is associated with the transfer of property. Transfer of property will come. I think 8 is false or true? True. Why true? Risk is associated with the possession of goods or property of goods. Just now we studied here, na? Risk is associated with, we will see anyway. Transfer of ownership. Any idea where it is available? Transfer of ownership. Which page it is available? Risk. Which page it is available? Risk prima facie. Risk is associated with the possession of goods or property, transfer of property goods. So not able to identify. You check anyhow, you check one time, okay? As of now, it is false. As of now, it is true, okay. As of now, it is true, but you check anyway. 95th page. 95th page, what is available? 95th. Where it is available in 95th page? Something risk prima facie passes with the property. See, that means possession of goods should not come now. Passes with the property only coming. Why possession of goods is coming? Anyway, you remember. So, do you want break of 5 to 10 minutes? Do you want break? So please take break. We'll meet after 10 minutes. But passes with the property will be the right answer by seeing this one. I'm uploading all these videos in YouTube actually. So all our videos I'm uploading, even I already uploaded few videos for Inter also. That will be useful for in future for you. So if you want to study, you can study in online also. Okay, just sharing the YouTube link. Any other doubts you can ask me during this break. Any other doubts if you have, you can ask me. I think the exam application form is working now properly. You can apply now. No, sir, I tried it even now, but could not do it. Why you are not able to do it? Today also I got a message from the groups that it is working properly. Yeah, sir, working. Another student is replying. Yeah, sir, working. Exam will be center based or home based? Should be center based. Even I don't have much idea, but center based will be preferred. Exam is pakka on that date only. That we cannot tell na. Anything might happen at the present pandemic thing. We have to prepare for everything, anything and everything. I hope all of you guys preparing well for examination. Please continue the same. Whatever comes and goes, don't bother about any other thing. Just focus on studies. Be safe at home. You have a lot of tools nowadays for preparation of your examination, especially after this online classes and everything. If you search in YouTube now, for each topic you will have 100 videos, more than 100 videos. So learning is very simple, but whether we are learning or not, that is the question mark. There are a lot of options for learning. You need not to stick with the material, or you need not to stick with some faculty or something like that. You can learn the ocean. The Google is a ocean actually. Server fees, last date extension for everybody. It is not working means then they will do some extension, or it 24 into 7 it is not working means they will do some extension, but it is not working for some hours or minutes, then it is, we have to think, because maybe morning it is worked, afternoon it may not be working, evening it will work, again night it will not work. You have to be very precautious. You have to check again and again. Okay, I'll come back to the topic. So what I request all of the students is please prepare now onwards. Even you have any other doubts, you are not able to understand during the class hours or any specific point you are not able to understand, you can always contact me or even message me. I will definitely try to clear your doubts. Okay, and I'm sharing my mobile number to everyone. So any doubts in law, always welcome. Okay, so we will get back to the topic. So true or false, little bit we discussed. What is the ninth one? Seller can sue for price only when property and goods has passed through to the buyer. Not like that. He can recover the goods from buyer also. Sir, your YouTube link. Just now I said, na. My name is my YouTube link. I will discuss after exam, after class hours. I will share again. This is my YouTube link. I will share later. Okay. So we will get back to the topic. So seller can sue for price only when property and goods has passed on to the buyer. Not for price. They can recover the goods from buyer also. It depends. We will see whether it is true or false. We will see. True. Why it is true? We will see. See here. Where is available? Particular question related to price. 106. 106 it is available. Sue for interest. Suit for price. Where the property and goods has been passed through to buyer and the buyer wrongfully neglects or refuses to pay the price, seller can sue the buyer for price. Yes. Rights against the buyer personally. Right of resale. When they can recover the goods, right against the goods. An unpaid seller has a right against when the goods sold, when the property and the goods has been passed through to the buyer. They are also there as follows. See here, an unpaid seller has some right against the goods sold when the property and the goods has passed through to the buyer. An unpaid seller. Here, what is the thing? Unpaid seller. Here it is an unpaid seller. Seller can sue for price only when the property and the goods has passed through to buyer. Very blank question actually. It depends on the nature of transaction. Okay, it is both option is available. They can sue for price as well as they can recover the goods also. Since, but the insured answer says true, na, we will follow true. But we have to understand the reasoning behind that. When he can sue for price, when the goods is used by the buyer already, they cannot recover now because goods is already consumed by the buyer. Such time I cannot recover the goods physically. I have to ask the damages only. I have to ask the price only. Okay. Rest of the true or false, you try yourself. And I am coming to match the following. First thing, Sale of Goods Act 1930. We can put 1st July 1930. For 1E will be the correct answer. Any other answer, or do you agree with the E? Sale of Goods Act 1930. What will be the best answer? Shall we put E? E is the correct answer. Point number 2, condition. Condition is essential to the main purpose of the contract or collateral to the main purpose of the contract? Essential or collateral? Condition is an essential one or collateral one? Condition is an essential one or collateral one? Essential. Good. Then A is the correct answer. Warranty, collateral one. Then D is the correct answer. Unpaid seller, which section? Auction seller, which section? I guess unpaid seller will be section 45 and auction seller will be section 64. Because auction seller we studied at finally, na. Last topic is auction seller only, na. Section 64 will come. Descending order, last number. Section 64. But it's a guess. I will check what will be the correct answer. 4B. Yes. Unpaid seller section 45 and auction seller 64. Remember, memory power is required for remembering the numbers. Then delivery. General property in goods. I think so. Document of title to goods. Delivery is not general property in goods. Why not voluntary transfer of possession of goods? I think that is the correct answer. Voluntary transfer of possession of the goods. Correct, you are correct. Delivery means I am transferring voluntarily. That is correct answer. Document of title to goods, na, we can say doc warrant. It is like an invoice or something used during shipping process. So delivery is voluntary transfer of possession of goods. B is correct answer. But to document of title to goods, maybe doc warrant will come. Doc warrant will be the correct answer. I think so. Yes. Point number 3, goods means goods includes stock and shares also. Goods includes stock and shares also. So point number A. Price is consideration, money. Point number E, correct answer. Money consideration. Then what about property? Balance left out is only one answer, C. That is general property in goods. That will be the correct answer. Okay. Like this, you prepare for match the following also. So the left out topic in this subject is Negotiable Instrument Act. The left out topic in this subject is Negotiable Instrument Act. Correct. That also we will start. Okay. What is this negotiable instruments? Negotiable instruments. Any examples for negotiable instrument? Please, all of you, turn your pages and come back to Negotiable Instrument Act. Please, all of you, turn your pages and come back to Negotiable Instrument Act. Transferable written document, instrument. What about others? Instrument which are transferable. Okay. What about others? Promissory notes. Check bills. Correct. Negotiable instrument, promissory note. Yes. Legal document which guarantees payment. Good. Bill of exchange. Correct. All of your this thing is correct. I have something written in the paper. That paper can be transferable from one person to another person. What is transferable? Money, the worth of the particular item, or what is the rights is transferred from one person to another person with some instrument, paper instrument. That can be or promissory note, whatever it is. Something is written and signed by both the parties, then it is a valid document. I can claim money from that fellow, or else I can transfer this document to another person also. Negotiable Instrument Act. Like check example. I have written check in the name of one particular person means, then that is an instrument. He can use that instrument and he can collect money from the bank. Legal document. It's an instrument created, legally valid. Okay, created between the parties, two parties or three parties, and it is transferable also from one party to another party. But amount should be precisely mentioned, years and words both correctly. There should not be any confusions. Okay, that is general meaning of negotiable instrument. General meaning of negotiable instrument. We will look here what is mentioned here. 3.1 is negotiable instrument, characteristic of negotiable instrument. 3.2 is definition of promissory note, bill of exchange and check. 3.3 is difference between promissory note, bill of exchange and check. 3.4 is crossing, meaning, definition and type of crossing. Okay. First, we'll little bit go through the 3.1. Negotiable instrument. What is the meaning of negotiable instrument? We will go through here. An instrument is a document by which right and liability of any person is created, modified, satisfied, transferred, or documented. One simple paper, I am writing something that a paper is called instrument, which creates rights and liability for that particular person. For example, I am giving loan to one guy. Tandal, you know Tandal loan, or else unsecured loan. Unsecured loan, you know, right? Anybody can give to anyone. How I will give the loan to them? What is the security? What is the surety available? Whether if he is not paying, what is the security safety available for me? I will get one paper like a promissory note, and I will write my name and his name, and he has to sign in the document. I have to pay so and so amount to this guy. It is properly stamped and signed. Then that is called negotiable instrument. If tomorrow he is not paying the money, I am not a banker. I am not a financial company. I am just an independent individual guy. I am lending money to one person means, what is the security available to me? Safety available to me. If he is not paying the money, how I will recover the money? I will prepare a promissory note and I will get a signature from that guy. Tomorrow, if he is not paying now, then I will show this promissory note. See, You already got money from me. You have to repay. This is the proof. What is the proof of this name? What is the name for this proof? This is the instrument. What instrument? It's a negotiable instrument, which means transferable. I can transfer this instrument to any other party also, and I will recover the money from that party. So that is the general meaning. Okay. Now I'm reading inside. Instrument is a document by which right and liability of any person is created, comma, modified, comma, satisfied, comma, transferred or documented. Yes, I am creating. Modifying means what? I am changing the terms and condition. Or satisfied means what? I repaid the loan. Then promissory note is not valid because I repaid the money now. Then why this promissory note? Just tear it off. No, nowhere it is repaid now because I paid the money back properly. Transferred means what? I have written the promissory note and collected from you. You didn't pay the money. What I will do? I will sell this promissory note to someone else. I will collect money from them. They will call you later. You need not to pay to me. You have to pay to my to another person whom I sold this promissory note, whom I transferred this promissory note. You have to pay them directly. Need not to pay to me. Okay. So this is the example for modified, certified, transfer, documented. Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Remember 1881 primarily contains the law relating to negotiable instrument. So this is followed in current situations also. Yes, for unsecured loans it is followed. How I will give loans to unsecured persons? I will go give loans to the street vendors who is not eligible for bank loan. How they will run their business? By getting unsecured loan, Sandal or something like that, speed loan kind of things. All these things are prohibited, but they will do it. The term negotiable means transferable, and the term instrument means the term negotiable means, remember, the term negotiable means transferable. Negotiation means transferable. That is the actual meaning as per Negotiable Instrument Act. But negotiable means we will link with bargaining also. Bargaining, negotiation, bargaining, all these things will come under negotiable. But here negotiable means transferable. That instrument can be transferable from one person to another person. This promissory note I can sell to another person also, and I will collect money from that person. That is called bill of exchange. One another word is bill of exchange. The term negotiable instrument, the term negotiable means transferable, and the term instrument means any document, any written document creating a right in favor of some person. Instrument means this instrument. What is the right? What is the proof I have? I have this instrument. Then I have a right on you. You didn't pay the money. What is the proof? You signed it. You have already signed this instrument. This instrument is with me. Then you have to pay me. Where is the right available? Where is the rule available? Negotiable Instrument Act is available. Under that, I can claim the money from you. Okay. Thus, by negotiable instrument, we mean a written document by which a right is given to a person. Thus, by negotiable instrument, we mean a written document by which a right is given to a person and which is transferable in accordance with the provision of the Negotiable Instrument Act. Yes, of course. Written document is an instrument and is also transferable. That is called negotiable under the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Then what is negotiable instrument? Again, they are repeating the same thing. We will go through anyway. So negotiable instrument. In common parlance, a negotiable instrument can be understood as a piece of paper, just a paper, which entitles to sum of money, to a sum of money, and which is transferable from one person to another merely by delivering or by endorsement and delivery. Okay, the person to whom it is transferred become entitled to the sum mentioned therein and also the right to further transfer it. though there is a general principle that no one can become the owner of property unless the person who sold the property to whom that true owner of the said property, yet this rule is not applicable in case of Negotiable Instrument Act. Now let us refer to the act, how the negotiable instrument is defined in section. So what they are saying now, it is simply I am writing, I am taking on paper and writing so and so things, amount I am putting, name I am putting, and I am getting a signature from that guy with the stamp. Then that becomes promissory note. Then that becomes negotiable instrument. I can collect, I have a right on that person now. I can ask money from them because he signed the document. What he signed? He signed that he got a money from me, 10 lakh rupees, and he has to repay that money, 10 lakh rupees to me. Like that he signed with stamping. So then the document becomes negotiable instrument. That I can sue, that I have a right now to ask money from that guy. And also I have a right to transfer this negotiable instrument to third party, another party also. So that is what mentioned there. Okay. So what I suggest is this 3.1 a little bit technical in nature. Lot of technical words and other things is used. So what I am feeling is that I will complete the 3.2 first. Okay. Then I will come 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. Then I will come back to 3.1 because 3.1 is mostly about definition. So what I will do is I will come to 3.2, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. I will complete. Then I will go for 3.1. Okay. It is a definition and a legal definition. We have to we have to go through the things properly. So 3.2 I will start first. Okay. Later on I will come to 3.1. So 3.2, all of you please come. Definition of promissory note, bill of exchange and check. I told negotiable instrument. Negotiable instrument includes promissory note, bill of exchange and check. Then what is promissory note, sir? What is bill of exchange? What is check? That we will understand now. As per you, what is promissory note? Tell me. As per you, what is promissory note? As per you, what is promissory note? Debtor promising the payment to the creditor. Good. Promise to pay money. Good. What about others? What about others? Agreement between two persons. It is an instrument. Yes, it is an instrument only, negotiable instrument only. But what is the meaning of promissory note? Promise to pay money. What about others? What about others? Promise to pay after a period of time. Yes. All your answers are agreeable in nature. Agreeable. What about others? Simply I am promising someone. You take one paper and I am writing as a promissory note. Take on stamp paper. Stamp, take on stamp. Write all the English, amount, date, to whom I have to pay, how I'm going to pay. So all the information you write and get a signature from promissory note, who is promising, get a signature from him. Then it becomes promissory note. If tomorrow he is not paying, I'll go to his place and I will ask him, pay my money. If he's saying I will not pay, then I will show this the promissory note. You see, you already promised me to pay that money back to me. This is the promissory note, evidence for me. If you don't pay, I will go to court with this promissory note. Tomorrow I will go to court and I will claim from court because this is recognized under Negotiable Instrument Act. By enforcing the Negotiable Instrument Act, I will collect money from you. Okay. So that is what mentioned here. That is what mentioned here. We will go through the theory now. A promissory note is an instrument in writing. A promissory note is an instrument in writing. I am writing in a paper. Instrument means paper. Instrument in in writing contain not being a bank note or a currency note. Currency note I should not write. General paper, currency note, general bond paper will be there now. Green color bond paper. In that I am writing. Containing an unconditional undertaking. Unconditional, no condition involved. Amount only. This amount means I will pay. I will not put if, but and all. If, but and all I should not use. What is the amount? What is the date? That's it. You have to pay me. No if, no but. Only straightforward. Condition means condition. To unconditional undertaking signed by the maker. Signed by the maker means who is borrowing the money now. He will create that promissory note and he will sign to pay certain sum of money. To pay certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. Bearer of the instrument who is having that instrument with them in their hand. There, I am carrying means I am the owner now. You have to pay me. Okay. Parties. Maker, pay. Maker means the person who is going to sign, promising. Promiser. You can say promiser. Promiser is the person who is going to promise. Yes, I will pay this amount back to you. Payee means the person who is going to receive the money from the maker. You got it or not? Maker is a promiser. Yes, I will promise, sir, I will repay this money to you. Pay is the person who is going to receive the money later. Who is prepared promissory note? Anyone can prepare promissory note, but who is signing? Maker only will sign. Because he is promising that he will pay. Payee only will receive the money because he is carrying that instrument with him. Okay. The person maker means the person who makes the promissory note and promises to pay is called the maker. Promises means he is signing. Not promise means it is not like God promise or father promise or mother promise. It's not like that. You have to write in a document. Then only it becomes promise. Okay. Then requisite features of a promissory note. Characteristic feature requisites of a promissory note. What should be there in the promissory note? If the promissory note means what are the content? What should be there mandatorily in the promissory note? The promissory note must be in writing only, not to oral. Orally, I should not say, I promise you. It is not like that. You have to get a signature. The promissory note must be in writing. And it must contain an undertaking to pay. There must be an express promise to pay. Yes, of course. I'm undertaking means I'm just expressing that I will pay this amount. I'm expressing. Point number 3, the promise to pay should be unconditional. I should not put condition and all. On a particular day, there is a rain in our state, then only I will pay. On a particular day, if there is an lockdown due to corona, then only I will pay to you. Otherwise, I will not pay. It is not like that. You should not put condition and all. Simply you have to write the amount, date, person, name, maker, signer, signature, stamp, everything. You should not put a condition and all in that document. That is called unconditional. The promissory note should be must be signed by maker, that is promiser. Who is going to pay now? That fellow should sign the promissory note. Orally not agreed. He has to put his signature. The sum payable must be certain. You should not say, I will pay this much. I will pay equivalent to the value of 1 ton of apple. It is not like that. You have to mention the figures. I will pay 1 crore. I will pay 1 crore 25 lakhs. Like that, you have to write the money. You have to mention the figures. The instrument must contain a promise to pay money and money only. You should not say, I will give you 1 ton of sugar on this day. This is my promise. Then promissory note is not acceptable. You got it. Barter system is not acceptable. Barter system is not acceptable. Okay. So the instrument must contain, say then the seventh point, the maker and payee must be certain. Yes, to whom I am going to pay. Maker name, payee name, all the things are clearly mentioned. Who is going to receive? Clearly mentioned. Then eighth point, stamping of promissory note. Stamping of promissory note is essential under the Indian Stamp Act 1899. Remember, under the Indian Stamp Act 1899, it is compulsory. Stamping means what? Buy stamp from post office. 5 rupees stamp, 10 rupees stamp, 20 rupees stamp, what 1 rupee stamp, 2 rupees stamp, whatever it is. Okay. Seal. If you have a seal, that also you put. Stamp means that stamp, there are no 1 rupee stamp, 2 rupees, that one. An unstamped promissory note is not admissible in evidence and no suit can be maintained. Yes, stamping is important. Otherwise, you cannot claim from court. 9, it must contain date. Yes, when I am going to repay. At what period I am going to repay. At what period I am going to repay. Then 10th point, the limitation period for promissory note to file a suit at 3 years, 3 years from the date of from the date of acknowledgement. Remember this point. What happens? I got a promissory note, but that fellow didn't pay the amount back. He said I will pay before 31st March 2021, but he did not pay any amount. Then what is the solution? What is the how can I recover the money from him? I can go to court. But what is the last date for applying in court? From the date of execution of promissory note. From the date of execution of promissory note, from the date of 3 years from the date of execution. You got it or not? 3 years from the due date. I'm going after 10 years. Before 10 years, one fellow didn't pay the amount. I asked for 10 years, but he didn't pay the amount back. After 10 years, I'm going to court, means court will say, you should come before within 3 years from the date of execution of the contract. Now this promissory note is not valid. You take back this promissory note. We will not entertain this type of case because it is already, what you can say, the limitation period is exceeded. Within 3 years you have to come, you have to sue, you have to file a suit in a court. If you are coming after that, then sorry, I cannot take this case because limitation period is there. Okay. Then illustration and all they gave here. Here from out of this transaction, which one is promissory note and which one is not promissory note? That is what we have to identify now. Which one is promissory note and which one is not promissory note? That is what we are identifying here. We will see. I promise to pay B or order rupees 500 rupees. What is the meaning? I am writing in a promise letter, promissory note. I am writing, I will pay 500 rupees to this guy. Whether this is a promissory note or not a promissory note. Forget about date because date is not the criteria they give. Only they are saying, I will pay this much to you, 500 rupees to B. Whether this is a valid note or it is not a valid note as per you. Not a valid. What about others? Not valid. I promise to pay B. Forget about date aspect. Date will be there, okay? Because date is not mentioned here for all the category. So forget about date. Assume there is a date in the promissory note. Now tell me. I am promising to someone that I will pay this amount definitely, 500 rupees. Because it's in oral. See, you remember, A signs the instrument. A signs instrument in the following term. A is signing the instrument. He is signing the paper. It's not oral, it is a written document. A signs instrument in the following terms. A is signing one document. Okay, in that document, he is mentioning that I will pay 500 rupees to this guy. Then it is a valid promise. And A is in second case, what he is doing? I acknowledge myself to be indebted to B 100,000 to be paid on demand for value received. Again, he is saying 1,000 rupees I will pay to B. Whenever he is asking, I am ready to pay. Okay, that is also a valid one. But what about C? Mr. B, I owe you rupees 1,000. I owe you means what? I owe you full form we don't know. I owe you. Voice is breaking, but not for all. Maybe you have to check your this thing. I own you. It's not like that. So we cannot define what is I owe you. Not clear. Confusion. I owe you means what? We cannot clear. I see you. I owe you. I own you. We cannot define like that. You have to write properly. Full English you have to write. So not acceptable. It is not a valid promissory note. Point number D. What is point number? I promise to pay B 500 and all other sums which shall be due to him. What is this? I will pay 500 means I will pay 500 only, not all other sums. I will not pay any other amount. I will pay only 500 because I promise for 500 only. That means it is not a valid promissory note. Totally, it is not a valid. Okay. Point number E. I promise to pay B 500 first, deducting thereout any money which he may owe me. It is also not valid. What he is saying, I will pay you 500, but I will deduct the amount which you borrowed from me. Not valid. Sir, your voice is breaking. For you only it is breaking. You have to check your mobile. For others it is not breaking. My voice is breaking or clear? For all I am asking. Clear. Okay, I am getting clear. Okay. What is the next one? Point number F. I promise to pay 500 to pay B 500 7 days after my marriage with C. This is also not acceptable. When you will marry C, I don't know. If you are a bachelor for your lifetime till, then you will not pay me anything, na? Then not acceptable. I promise to pay B rupees 500 on D's death, provided D leaves me enough to pay that sum. What is saying? I will pay you only 500 only after the D becomes died. And also D should give me sufficient money to pay you. Then only I will pay you. Not valid. Not valid promissory note. H. I promise to pay B 500 and to deliver to him by white horse on 1st January next. What is saying? I promise to pay B rupees 500 and to deliver to him by white horse on 1st January next. This is also not acceptable. How I will pay this 500 rupees? I will come with white horse. I will sit in white horse and I will ride the white horse and I will give this money to you. If there is no white or white is already died, then RC sick means then what I will do? I will not pay you anything. So not acceptable. Only A and B is acceptable. All other things, promissory note, not acceptable, because all the other things is coming under with some conditions. Promissory note is unconditional one. Okay, understood? Understood? All of you understood? So bill of exchange is the next topic. I will be starting bill of exchange check in upcoming classes. Okay, we'll try to complete maximum possible in next class itself. I think I may require 2 more classes maximum to complete this negotiable instrument act. Okay, so please all of you prepare for your exams. Don't wait for corona updates and all. Don't wait for postponement of exams. You prepare yourself, you forget about all other things. If they conduct exam, attend it. If they postpone exam, when they are conducting, you please attend it. Don't think about whether this will be conducted or something like that, whether it is home based or center based. All those things not required. What is required? You have to prepare for examination properly. That is what required. Okay, so with this I will wind up for the day. We will meet in our next class. I hope you enjoyed the class, you understood the class. If you have any doubts, you are always welcome to clarify your doubts. You can ask your doubts anytime. Okay, thank you all of you. Thank you. Thank you once again.